Officer faces no charges in fatal shooting in an Alabama mall. So basically, this guy, who is a veteran, was shot and killed by a police officer because he was in a mall in Hoover, Alabama, which Hoover, Alabama is a suburb of Birmingham. So it's a city. And he was trying to stop the actual shooter, but the police officer saw a black guy with a gun and shot and killed him. So an Alabama police officer will not be criminally charged for killing a young black man whom he had mistaken for a gunman in a shopping mall shooting Thanksgiving night, the state attorney general's office said Tuesday. The decision is likely to extend the debate over a tragedy at the intersection of guns rights and concerns over racial biases in policing. The shooting death of Amantic F. Bradford Jr., 21 years old, at the River Chase Galleria Mall in Hoover, Alabama, prompted protest and raised questions about whether police officers are too quick to assume that a non-white person who is armed is a wrongdoer. In a 24-page report, okay. Now, keep in mind, we don't know who this officer is. So we don't know anything about Officer 1. They're protecting this person's identity. The police officer shot Mr. Bradford, who went by EJ, a few seconds after gunshots rang out at the mall on November 22nd. Sending shoppers racing for safety and leaving an 18-year-old man, Brian Wilson, seriously injured by 2 bullets. The officer who was on duty at the mall said in a statement that he had turned toward the sound of the gunfire with his weapon drawn and saw an injured man clutching his stomach. He also saw an armed suspect who was quickly moving towards the 2 males. I fired my weapon at the armed suspect to stop him. That armed suspect was Bradford, veteran, who was trying to help. So I thought only a good guy with a gun can stop a bad guy with a gun. I thought that was the only way this worked out. Well, here a good guy with a gun was trying to stop a bad guy with a gun, and another good guy with a gun killed that other good guy because they didn't know what was what. And for some reason, they couldn't shoot to wound. They had to shoot to kill. And, you know, it shouldn't be surprising that no charges are being faced here because there never is in situations like this. I mean, after Tamir Rice, after a 12-year-old with a toy gun was just shot and killed, no questions asked, didn't even give the kid a chance. It was about 12 seconds. Oh, and by the way, that was misreported in the media, by the way. That was misreported for a long time. They were like, oh, no, they talked to him for a while. No, they didn't. No, they did not. After that happened, a 12-year-old child, of course, I mean, if you... So I'm not surprised at all that there are no charges here, and you shouldn't be surprised either. Nor should you expect any common sense gun policy to ever happen in this country. It will not. It will not happen in my lifetime. And if you have the optimism that it will, you have a level of optimism I can't relate to. And I think you're wrong. I wish you weren't. I really wish you weren't. But I don't see any common sense gun policy happening in this country. And of course, this isn't even so much a gun. This is even more a police issue. Why aren't they trained to shoot to wound in a situation like this? Or why couldn't they have said something like, drop your weapon, and he say, hey, I'm with the Army, I'm trying to help. And we'll never get both sides of the story because that veteran is dead. And I wonder if all the people who always shout support our troops from the rafters were outraged about this. I wonder. So I don't know what else to say. I mean, we'll just wait until the next one happens. I mean, this is never going to stop. Like, we're never... There's a school shooting every couple days. We do nothing about our gun culture in this country. Absolutely nothing. We do nothing about rampant police brutality. Nothing has changed. Nothing has changed in the way they're trained. Nothing has changed in the way they're recruited. Nothing has changed at all. At all. In some cases, they have body cams that they don't use half the time. Nothing's changed. Nothing has changed. Our law enforcement, it is a systemic problem. A systemic problem needs a systemic solution. The systemic solution is you need to completely reevaluate how this is done. I mean, it is ridiculous that a badge and a gun is given to these people who are not trained properly, not recruited properly, not paid well. So they may find themselves in situations they're completely unequipped to deal with. Completely not prepared at all to deal with. And we don't take a step back and be like, okay, we need to reevaluate how this is done. We need to reevaluate how law enforcement is supposed to behave in a community, how we assess situations, how we train, how we view law enforcement's role in our society. And I don't have all the answers to that. I just know a systemic problem needs a systemic solution. So whenever you hear someone say, not all cops are bad, stop talking. That's not the point. The point is that situations like this should be prevented. There should be more actions taken so that situations like this do not happen. And in this situation, I mean, obviously this is a lot different than Michael Brown or Tamir Rice. I mean, the difference here is they thought that person was the shooter. So, to be fair here, I will acknowledge it is a different situation. But nonetheless, the same problem creeps up here. That cop was probably not properly trained to handle a situation like that. They probably weren't properly trained to shoot to wound. And when officers can just go around and kill without consequence, what do you expect to happen? Also, I thought a good guy with a gun should stop a bad guy with a gun. Well, what? Now these good guys are stopping good guys with guns. Maybe, just maybe, the guns are the problem. And by maybe, I mean definitely. If we had better gun policy in this country, maybe that shooter wouldn't have gotten a gun in the first place. So maybe that veteran wouldn't have had his gun out. Or he wouldn't be carrying it around in a mall in the first place. Why do you need a gun when you're going to the mall? And maybe that officer wouldn't have felt compelled to shoot to kill. Because the officer would have been the only person with a gun in that scenario. The type of situation that I'm describing is how it would be in most other countries that have real gun control. We don't. And we're not going to see it in my lifetime. I think so, and some of you on the stream, you probably believe that we will. And I applaud your optimism. I applaud your optimism. But I'm critical of your naivety. We ain't going to see it in my lifetime. I hope I'm wrong. I really hope I'm wrong. And if I am, I will be proud to say it. I'll be thrilled to say, hey, you know what? I was wrong. We just instituted what they did in Australia. We had a big buyback. We have regulations on ammunition, similar to what they do in Switzerland. And you have to register the gun similar to the way you do a car. By the way, there's a lot of gun owners that favor common sense gun policy in this country, by the way. Technically, I'm one of them. I am a gun owner, and I am a gun owner in the most ridiculous way possible. My grandfather left me a gun in his will. That was what he left me. So I have this gun that is technically mine that I've never even seen before and lives in my parents' attic. I've never even seen it, but he left me and my sister a gun. That was what he left to us. And the only reason I ever bring it up is because I just get a kick whenever I talk about, hey, common sense gun policy would be cool in this country. And they're like, you're just trying to take our guns. And I'm like, actually, I'm a gun owner. And then I just leave it at that. I don't go into details. I just say, actually, I'm a gun owner. Because technically it's true. But I don't have any confidence that we'll ever see any common sense gun policy in this country. I just don't. I hope I'm wrong. I'd love to be wrong.
Get your news on with Ron. Don't you want to know what's going on? We're getting our news on today. Get your news on with Ron. Don't you want to know what's going on? article at Ron Placone. We'll go through it together and make it our own.